daughter. This video is going to be just for you, and we're going to talk about personal finance just in case I'm not going to be around to teach you about it by the time you're this age. But hopefully I'll be around to teach you about it because we have pretty long lifespans. Let's just hope that I'm not the exception. But right now I'm filming this in the middle of September 2024. And I would say that the society that I live in right now is very materialistic. And there's this belief that women are not good with their money. And that is just not true. I think that how you are with your money is basically from an accumulation of life experiences that you've had up until now in your mid-20s, mid-30s. But if you're watching this video while you're younger than that, then baby, I'm super proud of you. So my first piece of advice for you is you need to earn more. The only time when you feel scared or unstable is when you have a big bill, right? And you have no money or idea of how to pay for that big bill. That just puts you in a very fearful state, right? So I have a friend, I was on Facebook recently, and she posted a post that she was in dire need of 2 root canals and 3 crowns. And it was either that or she loses 2 teeth and get dental implants in order to help her eat. So she's in that situation and she can't pay for it, right? And sadly, this is the state of America. There are a lot of people who have medical procedures that they have to do that can change their lives, but they just can't pay for it. The American healthcare system is abysmal. So hopefully I would have set you guys up, you and your siblings, so well that you don't have to deal with this, that you will be able to get the healthcare that you need affordably whenever you need it. That is my whole game, to set you, your brothers and your sisters up just so you don't have to deal with this issue. I don't know what your mom's game is. Probably maybe she could do a full game on love and dating because I'm terrible at that stuff. But back to my friend's story, right? She has these big dental issues, and I looked on Perplexity. I said, how much was the average cost for these sort of procedures? And it came back with a range of between $3,800 and $12,000, right? So just an FYI, if you're in Canada and you make less than $70,000, that procedure is free. It's covered by the Canadian dental system. So if my friend earned more, let's say she earned $20,000 a month, this wouldn't be a problem, right? But her situation right now is she is a waiter and she is a single mother. So it's a choice between getting her dental issues fixed or feeding her son and putting a roof over his head. That is basically a no-brainer decision. She's gonna put a roof over her son's head and feed him. And that is why I need you to earn more. Focus on in that word. I don't want you to earn more, I need you to earn more. And the easiest way to do that is by starting a business. So the reason I advocate for starting a business is because the income potential is unlimited. You're not capped. Right now I am working as a software engineer, right? So I earn 6 figures. Let's just put it this way. I earn $110,000. I think the most that I can get with my profession is probably $250,000. And that is a big chunk of change, but it's still capped. And I have to work really hard and put in a lot of effort to get a capped salary. That is just not something I want to do. But if I owned my own business, and I've been thinking of starting a candle business, let's say I was able to manage to sell 15,000 candles in a year and each candle was $50. That's $750,000. So that's the difference between selling candles via a business or working at a job. The difference is a job will always have your income capped, whereas a business, your income potential is unlimited. So That's how you earn more. In addition, when you have a job, you can get fired, and it's just a lot of stress in your life that you don't need. If you want to learn more about that, just check out the video I made here. But with a business, if you're wondering what business you should start first, then I always advocate for starting some sort of media or marketing business, because what they have said these days, or what they are saying these days, is attention is currency. And I think that's true, right? The more attention you can get, the higher the amount of income you can make. So for me right now, YouTube is my first business because it pays me in terms of the content that I'm making via AdSense, but you can also use it as a way to test out products that you want to sell, because there are people that like you, that like your content, and you can potentially offer them value. So that is the first business that I always recommend you to start with. And if you want to learn more in depth about how to do that, then check out the video I made here. So I'm talking about investing here after earning, because you really only have money to invest after you have earned it, right? So here's the thing. A very small number of people have made their fortunes by investing. Actually, in 2012, a German company did some research on 472 millionaires and found that only 2.4% of those millionaires made their fortunes by investing. So it took me way too long in order to learn this lesson, but investing is really a way for you to keep the value of your money. And stick with me here, because this is the thing that college does not teach you. And they will never teach you, because they want to keep you as a cog in the whole entire system, right? They encourage you to take out loans and spend money, and that is incredible. The government does that too, because students that just come out of high school, they're 17 years old, they don't know how money works, but they are encouraged to take out these huge amounts of loans and to go on frivolous spending, not knowing that, or maybe they do know that, they do have to pay off those loans plus interest at a later point in life. So schools don't teach you how to invest, how to save, but they sure do teach you how to spend and take out loans. So I just want you to know that, sad to say, nobody has your best interest at heart except for your pappy here, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna be alive by the time you're watching this video, because anything can happen. But that's how you know that I really do have your best interest at heart, because I don't have any other ulterior motives. Also, for the fact that you came from me, and I would really love for you to just crush it. So we are at Trinity Mill Station right now. I am going to 2155 to do a dance intensive. It's something that I really only get to do once or twice a month, so I look forward to it when I can. It's always good to have something to look forward to in life. But I think back to our story of investing. My parents are immigrants, you might already know that, and they came to Canada and they didn't know English, and they just lived as low-income immigrants. So of course they didn't know anything about investing or anything like that. So we barely scraped by when I was growing up. So what I'm teaching you now, I wasn't taught. It took a lot of trial and error and a lot of going out there and figuring things out by myself to understand how the money, the game works in the world. And that's all I'm putting into this video, to hope I can influence you somehow. But what we're going through right now is massive inflation, and I'll just tell you that the numbers that the government puts out, inflation rate at 2.5%, that is not the real inflation rate, because the real inflation rate is different for every single good out there. So let's take, for example, eggs, because I love buying eggs. And I remember that last year I could get a box of eggs for like $1.69. And now the same eggs that I buy in 2024, 1 year later, they're about $2.40. So that's an increase of 44%. So it could be different for milk, it could be different for chicken. The percentages are different, but I'm just trying to get the point across that the real inflation rate is different from what the government reports. That's why I don't trust the government. So I did some calculations before making this video, and using our example with the eggs, if I were to give you $100 in 2023 and you bought as much eggs as you could at $1.69, it'll come out to around 60 boxes of eggs. But in 2024, with the price increases to $2.40, that same $100 can now buy you only 41 boxes of eggs. So that is what inflation is. So when I'm talking about investing, when you're investing in stocks, ETFs, Bitcoin, gold, silver, commodities like that, those are what we call things that also inflate in value. The values goes up and down, like they do for the eggs. So what happens if you buy, let's say, $100 of Bitcoin, and then next year, that same Bitcoin is now worth $1,000. Well, that $1,000 can buy me today, in terms of eggs, 416 boxes of eggs. That's much better than 41 boxes and much better than last year's 60 boxes, right? So in that sense, I am beating inflation. So I really think that it's basically a lie when people say that you can get rich investing. It is very hard to get rich by investing. And I remember last night I went and looked at my 401k because I am an employee, so I get to contribute to a 401k. And the company, I've worked at the same company for the last 8 years, and it looks like I've contributed around $90,000 into my 401k. Right now, the current value of that 401k is around $122,000, I believe, or $112,000. So it has appreciated by $22,000. That's $22,000 in 8 years. With that time span and the amount of growth, I'll never become a millionaire. Yet, what people believe in this time, in this society right now, is that they believe that they don't have to care about the growth of their retirement. They just believe that, oh, as long as I contribute to my 401k, I'll be fine for retirement. That is a complete lie.
All right, baby, so we talked about earning, and we're talking about investing right now. And what I need you to do is I need you to take this seriously. I need you to take investing seriously. And what I mean by that is I need you to actively invest in your investments. Don't let anyone else manage it for you, because when you let someone else manage for you, they don't have any skin in the game. So whether you win or lose, it's not gonna matter to them. You're gonna be paying them a fee anyways. They're gonna make money off that fee. And that hard lesson that took me way too long to learn. I had managers before, they took way too many fees from my investments, and they didn't really grow investments. Actually, I was making my own investment decisions. So I decided it's better to fire them and just actively manage myself. Now, I know that it is intimidating, especially if you are coming from a background where you don't know anything about investing. But hopefully what will happen is I will do several videos and make it kind of like a series on YouTube that you can watch over when you have the time, because ain't no child of mine is becoming homeless. Now, with that said, at this time, I have no idea where you're gonna be born actually. Ideally, you're going to have both Canadian and US citizenship, because I'm a Canadian citizen, and I think I'm getting US citizenship next year. So you're gonna have the luck of the draw. Now, in the USA, you have a retirement account called a Roth IRA. That's the only one that I really need you to focus on. And in USA, you also have an HSA, which is the health savings account. The counterpart for that in Canada is a TFSA. I don't think Canada has a counterpart version of the US's HSA, so you don't need to worry about that. But what I do need you to do is I need you to max out those accounts every single year. Now, Canada has some more leniency. Right now, every single year, if you don't contribute to your Roth IRA, which is your retirement account in the US, then that amount that you can contribute is lost. In Canada, it's not. It adds up since 2009, I think. So it's around 88,000 or something right now in 2024. And what you will invest in there is basically in stocks, ETFs. Basically, what you don't want to do is just keep it in cash, because if you put all your cash, if you max out your Roth IRA and your TFSA and you put your cash in it, it doesn't do anything. Cash still inflates in your retirement account. But if you invest it into, let's say, stocks, ETFs, then you can take out the gains from those retirement accounts tax-free. So it's basically a tax gain. Now, you will need to do the research. There's no two ways about that, because things in the world unfortunately changes. The only thing that doesn't change is God. So maybe the advice that I give you right now in terms of research is going to be not applicable by the time you're watching this, but I'm gonna give you the foundations of how to do the research, maybe in other videos, so that you can get set up. Right now, your dad invests in only ETFs, and I think for the long haul, for the rest of my life, I'm only going to invest in ETFs. On my Roth IRA, I have both SCHD and VT, and on the TFSA, I can't invest in a TFSA actually. So I take advantage of my mom's TFSA since she still lives in Canada. I give her the money and I invest for her. And so far she invests in VEQT, XUS, and XEI. And you can do some more research on those ETFs if they're still around, and if the values of those ETFs, how they're ran, are the same values that you have as a person. So a lot of them invest in tech and energy, which fits the bill for what I'm interested in. That is why I invest in them. And they're also invest in the total market. VT is invested in the total market. So I wanted to diversify in that way. So that's why I buy VT instead of, I think the other one was VTI. Now, they're all ETFs. All the other money that doesn't get invested because you've hit the limit for your retirement accounts, for that money, I just invest in Bitcoin. You can invest in anything else you'd like. Maybe you can invest it in your business or yourself, which are always great investments. And I think those investments are much better than Bitcoin. And for your 401k, if you're an employee, which I hope you're not, then that money just gets taken out of your paycheck. I have a percentage. I think my percentage is around 6% contribution. I'll have to check it again. But that just gets taken out of my paycheck. It's automatic. I don't have to do anything about it. Now, again, I know this is gonna be intimidating. If you haven't started, you have to start. We're gonna walk you through it, but it's better to learn about it, go through the pain now, than to end up at retirement with no money. And if you're scared that you think you won't be able to do this, don't be. You're a smart girl, and I totally believe in you.
So I've known women who were both terrible at saving, like my dance teacher, and women that were great at saving, like my mother. And I honestly think that how you are with saving is really dependent on your upbringing. So to give you an example, my dance teacher grew up from a really rich family. So she basically had everything bought for her. She had servants, didn't really have to suffer or go through starvation and poverty. So that upbringing ended up with her not being very good with money. My mom, on the other hand, right, she grew up in a low income, well, it's not even low income. I think she grew up in poverty. So she had to face starvation. She experienced through that. So that upbringing of not having money really focused her on to learning how to save. And the story behind that I've heard from my mom is that when she was growing up, her dad wasn't really contributing to the family. It was a weird situation. I always still wondered why. Because then what she said was that her dad would actually help raise his brother's family more than raising her his own family. So he would give his brother's kids, his nieces and nephews, money rather than giving money to help her mom support them. So why that was, it made no sense to me. It makes no sense to me right now. So when I visit home again, I should probably ask her that question. But it was basically kind of like a single mother scenario for my mom, is how she told me her story of her upbringing. So she is the middle child of 5 children, right? And how she told the story was that her mom kind of like solo raised them. And it's pretty incredible because her mom was working in the factory lines, right? The assembly lines. She was in textiles, that is sewing clothes, stuff like that. Sometimes she didn't have or didn't finish the work that she needed to do, so she would have to bring that home and finish it for the next day, or else she'd lose her job. So during that time, my mom was also doing groceries, preparing meals for the family and raising her 2 younger siblings. On top of that, she was going to school and she had homework to do. And when her mom had work that she brought home, well, my mom would have to go pitch in, extra hands as a child of a poor family in order to help her mom do the sewing work, help her finish on time so she just keep her job. That's why I am such a big advocate for you to start your own business, because if you're the boss, you can't be fired, right? You create your own economy. So you won't have those sort of fears of someone taking your one source of income away. But by the time you're watching this, you probably won't experience that because there are labor laws. I mean, the labor laws that we have today as I'm filming this is better than they were in the 1970s, and I'm sure that they're only gonna get better, and they'll be better by the time you're watching this maybe 20, 30 years later. So similar to my parents were immigrants to Canada from Hong Kong. I was raised in a low-income family as well, right? And I grew up watching mom clip coupons, look for deals on the newspaper whenever flyers came in for groceries. She'd go to the back and look for any near expired items because those are always sold at a massive discount just because they're calories and they would help fill us up, right? So I grew up in that sort of environment. And you gotta do everything you can to save money, and with the money she'd save, she'd take my brother out and we'd go to McDonald's. She'd buy us Happy Meals, and for as long as I remember, I don't think she really ever bought like a meal for herself from McDonald's. It's usually like 2 Happy Meals for my brother and I, and then she'd sneak a couple of fries, or when we didn't finish our burgers and fries, and she just finish it. But she never bought anything for herself. She would share the small Coke that would come with the small fries with us, because at McDonald's you got those free refills, and free refills are the bomb. And fun fact, I think in Canada, unlike the US, free refills everywhere is not a thing. So I think free refills was only a thing at McDonald's. It's kind of wild that way. But on top of that, right, when I was in school, I would see all my friends wear like Nike shoes, Adidas branded pants and hoodies, and I'd be there, a kid from an immigrant family, immigrant parents. I'd be there wearing the same 3 outfits that I got as hand-me-down from my cousins. And that would always make me wonder, God, why did you give me these parents? So baby, there will probably be many times where you would think the same thing. You would think, why are my friends' parents so much cooler than my parents, my dad? And I think it's totally okay if you think that. I've thought that many times, and if you feel guilty about that, don't. I made the decisions that I made because of the life experience that I had. And while they don't make sense to you now, I have faith that one day you will come to understand why I did what I did. And that's how I came to understand why my parents raised me the way they did and why they made the choices that they made. And the choices that they made me the person that I am. I mean, what would have happened if they were like really wealthy, but they neglected me all the time? I would have probably become a drug addict, which is not good. But instead, they did the best that they could. Even though we were poor, they did shower me with love, me and my brother, but they showered me with love regardless of how imperfect it was. And many times it was traumatizing, but hopefully, you know, those are lessons that I've learned and I can do better. And hopefully you'll realize that I'm an imperfect being as well, and I make imperfect decisions and my love will be imperfect. But that doesn't change the fact that there will be times that you think that I don't love you, but let me tell you, that's wrong. I love you more than you think. All right, so what does that whole story have to do with budgeting and spending? Well, without realizing, I've come to find that my budgeting and saving habits are much like my mother's. She clipped coupons, she looked for deals and flyers, she bought really discounted, near expired food items. That's what I do. I always look at the Kroger flyer because Kroger's the nearest grocery store to me, and I look for deals. I also clip coupons, and I do go to the back purposefully to look for near expired products or pastries or desserts that I can get at a very good deal because of the massive discount, because they're perishables, and I buy them. And you know, those savings add up. And when it comes to buying clothes, this shirt was given to me by the company I work for, so it was free, but most of my clothes are clothes that I've worn for the last 10 years. I don't buy clothes. And I know that you're a girl, so it has to be different, but I think that you don't need to go and buy clothes every single week, because the chances are you're just not gonna wear them, to be honest. But I'm thinking from the mindset of a guy. So I think you can go ahead and buy clothes, go shopping, maybe every 6 months or something, and do it when you're traveling. Make it a 2-for-1 deal, right? When you're traveling, ideally to a cheaper country, then you can take advantage of the exchange rate and buy clothes at a discount with that exchange rate. And that was one lesson I learned when I went to Colombia, actually. The clothes were much cheaper. Like, I got really nice pants, which would have been like $100 in America for 20 bucks over there. So do all your shopping out of country, away from where you live, if you're living in the US or Canada, because it'll probably be expensive. That'll help you save a lot of money. So the last lesson is, when it comes to spending, I always advocate for spending on memories, because memories last, rather than materialistic things like clothes, accessories, cars. You don't need any of that, but memories are forever. Spend your money making memories. If you think I'm a crappy spender, then you're absolutely right. I hate spending money. So if you want lessons on spending money, go ask your mother.